What's up, guys? Today I'm going to show you exactly how I set up the Steadicam AXIS step by step. I'm going to break it down into 3 videos. The first video, I'll be setting up the sled. The second video, I'll be going over the A30 vest and the A30 arm. And the last video, I'll be going over the volt system. Now, before we get started, I highly recommend you get yourself a copy of the Steadicam AXIS user guide. It goes through all the components, it has a whole bunch of resources, and it goes through the assembly process as well. I found it extremely useful, so if you want a copy, there's a link in the description below. Go ahead and grab a copy of that. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, first off, the first thing you're gonna need is a stand. I have the innovative stand with the shape wheels, and I love this setup because I can easily move my Steadicam around. I know some people have C-stands, and I don't personally recommend that because it's stationary, it's hard to move around. So try to get something with wheels so you can easily move your Steadicam around on set. Okay, with that being said, the first thing I do is I set up this dock, and it's extremely easy. All you do is unscrew this piece right here, place it on top, tighten it, press this blue button down, make sure this is all the way out. If it's in like this, pull it out, and then push this pin in, slide it out. All right, and then all you have to do is dock the rig at the ring here on the top of the post. Get your safety pin, push it back in so it won't go anywhere. And then this piece just kind of put wherever you can. All right, so the next step is to set up the base assembly. It comes with 4 rods. They look like this. 2 are for the back on the battery side, and the other 2 are for the front, the monitor side. And if you look at page 8 in the user diagram, it shows you exactly how these rods are supposed to be placed. So let's go ahead and do that right now. As you can see, one of the rods has a rounded edge to it. That's gonna go on the back side. So we'll start with the front, and according to the diagram, this is gonna slide in like this. And you'll see these little rounded notches right here. What you want to do is slide it until you see the 6, and do that for all 4 sides. So I'll try to quickly go through these. So the open end is over here, so that means slide the open end on this side, look for the 6. That's good right there. You can grab the little screws and just put them in place for now. Don't tighten them all the way yet until you have all the rods in. I'll turn this around so you can see the other side. And just for reference, now this is the back side of the Steadicam. So we got the rounded corner going on the top side. Slide that in there and stop at the 6. And then the last one, the rounded edge, is gonna go towards the monitor, which is gonna be on this side. I grabbed the other 2 screws, and now since they're all on 6, you can tighten everything down. Don't over tighten, just make sure it's snug. All right, the next step is to attach the battery mount onto the rod using these M5 20mm screws, and then tighten them down with the Allen wrench. All right, so pretty easy. All you have to do is slide this in to the rod, and the plug on the outside needs to be on the outside part of the rig. Pretty easy, but I'm struggling for some reason. There we go. Slides in, grab your M5 20mm screws, hand tighten them. And then you can use the Allen wrench to tighten them even more. Don't over tighten, just make sure it's in there snug. And that's that. Okay, now we need to attach the gold mount or the V mount battery mount onto the battery mount. I know that sounds weird, but that's what we have to do. For the V mount, you're going to use the M3 8mm screws. And for the gold mount, you're going to use the the M3 15mm screws. They're slightly longer. I have gold mount, so I'll be using the 15mm screws. So the first thing you want to do is plug this in. It can only go in one way, so you can't mess it up. Once it clicks, it's good to go. All right, and once you have that pushed in and it's connected, you can see that there's certain screws. It can only go one way, and for the gold mount, it has to go this way. And so once you have that in place, you can go ahead and grab your screws. You can hand tighten them before grabbing the Allen wrench. All right, once they're in the spot, you'll grab the smaller Allen wrench and tighten them up. And again, don't over tighten, just make sure it's snug. All right, once that's done, you can angle this however you see fit. I like to keep mine vertical. And once you have that set, grab the last screw, and you can see here on the back side, there's a spot right here to screw that in. So I'll keep it vertical, come over here, and I'll actually turn this around for you. So right here, you'll go ahead and screw that in. Make sure it's pretty tight, don't over tighten it. And then once that's set, you can go ahead and attach your battery. So I'll go ahead and attach my gold mount, and that part's done. All right, the next step is to set up the on-camera monitor. So we'll go ahead and take this out. Okay, set this to the side for right now, and the power cable, because first we need to attach the monitor pivot to the rod right here. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so please read step 9 on page 9. It's gonna tell you you need to remove the washer and some other stuff. Yeah, I know it can be kind of confusing. You might need to take this off and then do some other stuff. I can't quite remember. Okay, once your monitor pivot is ready to go, you'll slide it into the rods like this. You'll then use your M5 20mm screws and hand tighten this in, one on each side. Hand tighten as much as you can, and then use the Allen wrench to tighten them up. Okay, so here's a side view of the monitor pivot. It was confusing for me when I first got it, so I want to show you exactly how it's supposed to be set up. This silver piece is supposed to be on the bottom. This back metal piece needs to be over here, and so when you grab the monitor, all you have to do is place it in like this, and then screw it in right here on the bottom. And as you can see, it's kind of falling. That's because there's this screw right here. You just need to tighten that. It's recommended you keep this monitor at a 45-degree angle. So that looks pretty good right there to me. And then you just tighten the screw down. All right, and while we're at it, we'll go ahead and plug in the power cable into the monitor. There's a port right here, just push that in. All right, and then I wrap it around the rod 2 times. 1, 2, and I leave it here, and then I'll plug it into the power port right here in the bottom. So like I said, I wrap it around twice, and then I'll plug it down here on this port. It's a 3-pin. Just make sure it lines up right. There's only one way to put it in, so, and then it'll click, and that's it. All right, then I'll plug in the SDI cable into the SDI in. And then I do the same thing as the power cable. I'll wrap this around twice, 1, 2. And then I'll plug it into the SDI port right here. It's a normal BNC connector, so you have to push in and then twist. That's it. Also, during this step, I like to add the counterbalance weights. I put one on each side, so one here, and then the other on the other side. All right, now that the base assembly is done, we need to prepare the sled. So the first thing you want to do is keep your left hand or right hand, whatever hand, underneath here, and then unlatch this notch, because if you don't have your hand here, it's going to fall. So what you want to do is bring it down slightly so you have about an inch or two of the bottom post showing right here, and then you'll go ahead and tighten that back up. All right, next you'll see this blue lever right here. You want to loosen that, and then hold the bottom post and kind of shimmy this gimbal up to the top. I like to keep about 1 or 2 inches from the top, and then I'll tighten that lever back down. Okay, and on the top stage, you need to make sure to center the fine balance adjusters. Here on the back of the top stage, you'll see the fore and aft. This dial right here, that moves this top piece up here, forward and back, and then here's the side to side adjustment. That moves this whole piece left and right. So really you just need to make sure everything lines up in the center. So for the fore and aft, you can see these white lines, that needs to be centered up right here. So if I turn this dial on the back left, it will move it closer towards center. So make sure everything's centered on the fore and aft and the side to side. That's looking good right there. And then I'll do the side to side, and that's looking pretty good already. So I think we're good there. All right, the next step is to attach the camera. If your dovetail plate is already attached to the top plate, you'll need to loosen this lever right here. Press this side button right here, and then pull back. Now for me, I typically use the Zacuto VCT Pro tripod dock. And I like this because I can mount it to the dovetail plate, and then I can add the custom Zacuto plate to my Sony FX6. And so I can easily move between the Steadicam and then go straight to my tripod and go to another gimbal. So this is how I typically do it, but for the sake of this video, I'll do it how most people are probably going to do it, which is attaching the dovetail plate directly to the bottom of your camera. Before you attach the dovetail plate to your camera, you first need to find your camera's center of gravity. You can do that by using a rod, and before you balance it out, you need to make sure your camera is fully built out how you want it. This is how I typically have my Sony FX6. You need to make sure your battery's in there, lens cap is off. If you have any accessories, make sure it's on there, because if you add any weight or take off any weight, you're gonna have to rebalance, and it's kind of a headache. So the first balance test is horizontally, the fore and aft, and then all you do is kind of just find that balance. So for me, it's looking right around where my grip would be. So right down here. And then we do the side to side balance test, and that's looking more on the left side of the camera for me, near the left side of the battery. So you can always mark this with tape. I like to eyeball it just because I don't feel like taping my camera. And then after you found the balance points, you need to place the camera where that center of gravity is. So I'm gonna put my dovetail plate kind of on the left side of the camera, because my camera is leaning more left than right or in the center. So, all right, so this is what it ended up looking like for me. The dovetail plate's in the middle, my screws were too big. And that's okay, because we know where the center of gravity is on this camera and this build. And so we can do our best to center it up here on the top plate, and then use those micro adjustments to get it more balanced and centered. So, all right, now that the dovetail plate is on the camera, we'll go ahead and put it on the top plate. Go ahead and press this button in right here. And all we have to do is slide that in. We know where the center of gravity is, so we will try our best to make it right there in the middle. And for me, this is about right, close to right here. Once you have it centered, go ahead and make sure you lock it with this lever right here. Make sure it's tight. All right, now that we have the camera on here, the next step is to balance it. And before we get started, let's go ahead and attach the SDI cable to the camera. After you've attached the SDI to the camera, go ahead and plug in the SDI here on the HDMI 1. There we go. All right, now that that's done, we need to take this safety pin out. So press that in and slide it out. With one hand, you want to grab the rig, and then over here on the dock, press this blue button in, push this forward, and then turn it around. And then you want to place the sled onto the balancing pin like this. And so the first step is to balance statically. Essentially what we want is to have the sled hang vertically with it being slightly bottom heavy. And right now you can see it's a bit top heavy, so we need to fix that. Next step, you want to rotate this horizontally. Make sure everything's locked in place. And then you want to unlock this blue lever here. And you want to move it, do that like twisting motion with the gimbal until you find that balance. So it's bottom heavy, so I'm gonna slide the post up. And that's looking pretty decent. Another way you can find this balance is by extending the bottom post, because for me personally, I like having the gimbal up closer to the top plate. So it's all personal preference too. So yeah, so once you find this, you want to bring the gimbal down about 1/2 inch. So I'm going to just slide it down just a little bit, or sorry, I'm gonna slide it up just a little bit, 1/2 inch, lock that in place. And then we will bring this back to vertical. I'll slightly let go and I'll observe what's going on. So you can kind of see, it's actually not bad. It's leaning a little bit forward. So I'll use the fore and aft here on the back and just turn it counterclockwise to bring it backwards a little bit. And it's also, you can see from your angle, it is leaning right. So then I can use this side to side micro adjustment. I will turn that counterclockwise. Incorrect, I'll turn it clockwise to move it left. That's looking pretty good. If I turn it again for you guys to see, you can see it's still leaning, it's leaning forward a little bit still. So I'm going to use the fore and aft and bring it back a little bit. That's looking pretty good to me. All right, the last step is to figure out what the drop time is. And essentially what you want to do is bring this back to horizontal, and then you'll let go and count and see how long it takes to go from here to here. And you want it to be around 2 seconds. So let's go ahead and test it. We'll do 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. That's looking pretty good to me. Now, if your rig is dropping too fast, that means it's bottom heavy and you need to bring the gimbal down. And if it's too slow, that means you need to bring the gimbal towards the top plate. So, all right, the next step is dynamic balancing. This involves spinning the rig 2 times by lightly gripping the gimbal grip right here. And so you'll spin it 2 times. And it's hard at first to not use force to move it, you know, back and forth, side to side. And so try your best to like lightly spin it, just barely grip it and spin it. And what you're looking for is to see if the camera, if the rig is like moving, if it has any slight wobbles or anything like that. So if you do have a slight wobble, you'll want to keep your monitor where it is. The way you want to fix the dynamic balancing is by moving your battery in or out. I don't think I'm going to do it because it looks pretty good to me. So I don't know. Y'all let me know if it's wobbling or not. So if you do end up moving your battery in or out, you'll have to adjust the fore and aft right here because it will be statically out of balance. So you'll have to statically balance that again, come back and do the test again, and just keep doing that until it's not wobbling. So, and as you can see, when I forcefully do it, obviously there's gonna be wobble. So that's why you need to try to lightly do it. Slow, light. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. All right, now that we've statically and dynamically balanced the sled, we can go ahead and move on to having a neutral balance from top to bottom. So what you want to do is bring it back horizontal like this. You'll loosen the blue lever for the gimbal, and you will do the same thing. You'll move it until it's balanced on each side. There's a yellow line here on the gimbal grip. There's a line here on the back of the sled. You want to make sure those are aligned. So do that first before you try to find neutral balance, because now I have to redo it. Pretty tedious, but it's necessary, and that's looking good. So lock that up. All right, we'll bring it back to vertical. We'll take this off the balancing post, hit that blue button again, bring the dock out, put that on here, get your safety pin, put that in there, and that's good to go. All right, the last bit we have to do is connect the volt power cable. So the female end will plug in down here on the gimbal. Push that in. All you have to do is hand tighten these. And then here on the front of the top plate, the male side will go. And before you do that, I like to wrap this around the top post a little bit, maybe like 2 or 3 times. Push that in, hand tighten. Boom. All right, so there you have it. That is part 1 to setting up the Steadicam AXIS step by step. In the next video, we'll be going over the A30 arm and vest. If you have any questions, please let me know down below. But that's gonna be it. God bless. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. All right. Ooh, man, I'm sweating, dude.